Testing 1 2, test 1 2.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our 5:05 special meeting. It's the second and final budget hearing being held today, September 24th. To everyone who's still observing Rosh Hashanah, may you have a happy and healthy new year. At this time, I'll ask the city clerk to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Mayor Gomez.
Good evening.
Commissioner Bolton.
Good evening.
Commissioner Wright.
Present.
Commissioner Patterson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Daniel.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If everyone please rise. Commissioner Crystal Patterson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have a quick moment of silence. With the budget process, we are a little bit more scripted in order to make sure that we have all of the items said according to the state laws, the city rules, and county as well. So I will start from the top. Good evening, everyone. This is a special meeting of the Commission of the City of Tamarack to hold public hearings to establish the millage rate and adopt the city budget for fiscal year 2026. I am pleased you can join us this evening. These public hearings are a culmination of an entire year or more of work by the City Commission, the City Manager, the staff. For the benefit of the public tonight, the City Commission held several workshops during the year and 2 budget workshops on June 30 and August 27, 2025, to provide direction to the staff on this submittal. In addition, the first public hearing on the tentative millage rate and tentative budget was held on September 12, 2025, at which time the tentative budget as amended was adopted. I would like to thank my colleagues on the dais for their participation at the workshops and for their suggestions as we deliberate on the staff recommendations. As we are now ready to begin, we're going to go to temporary ordinance 2599. This is the second and final public hearing to establish the operating millage rate for fiscal year 2026. Before we begin, Mr. City Manager, please read your statement.
In accordance with the truth in millage requirements of Florida statutes, the city is required to announce the percentage difference between the proposed millage rate and the rollback rate. As such, the following is read into the record. The tentative operating millage rate of 7.0000 mils for fiscal year 2026 is 0.4094 mils or 6.21%. more than the rollback rate of 6.5906 mils. That concludes my statement. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please read the title to temporary ordinance number 2599.
Item 1A, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Tamarack to establish and levy ad valorem taxes within the corporate limits of City of Tamarack for the tax year 2025, providing for the levy tax year 2025-26, providing for the levy of ad valorem taxes in the amount of 7.0 mils based upon the taxable value on non-exempt real and personal property located within the city limits of the City of Tamarack, providing for conflicts, providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. This item was discussed at the June 30, 2025 budget workshop. The preliminary millage rate of 7.0000 was adopted at the July 9, 2025 City Commission meeting. The tentative millage rate of 7.0000 was adopted at the September 12, 2025 first public hearing. Financial Services Department staff will now give a short presentation. Well, hello, Mr. Streeter.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Jeff Streeter, Budget Manager. Temporary ordinance number 2599 sets the final operating millage rate for fiscal year 2026. The general fund tentative operating millage rate is set at 7.0 mils. It provides for general operations of the city, and it generates added revenue of $2.542 million. It exceeds the rollback rate of 6.5906 mils by 0.4094 mils, or 6.21%. So what exactly is a millage rate? For the benefit of the residents that are here tonight, a millage rate is a multiplication rate that's applied to every $1,000 of taxable value to determine a property owner's taxes billed. So let's take an example of a $100,000 taxable value. You take that, you divide that by 1,000, and you multiply that by the municipality's millage rate to figure out what your taxes would be. And in this case, right now, the tentative millage rate being 7 city property taxes for a property owner that had a taxable value of $100,000 would be $700. For the benefit of residents, the taxable value is your assessed value after any eligible exemptions. This table compares city total taxable value and value added by new construction from last year to this year. It also shows how that 2.542 million added value is calculated. Now, this table also shows some important things that are happening that are critical to your decision tonight to adopt the final millage rate. Three things drive city property tax revenue. One is the growth rate in total taxable value. The second is value added by new construction. And the third is the millage rate itself. So if you look at this table, you look at line 2, an increase from the prior year, the growth rate in taxable value is actually cut in half from this year to last year. And as far as added value from new construction, it decreased 96% from this year to last year. So without those two drivers, all that's left is the millage rate. Now, in thinking about future growth rates for taxable value, consider this. The city of Tamarack is currently made up of 32,460 tax parcels. Of those tax parcels, 30,770 are either single-family homes or condominiums. If you're interested in the breakout, that's 16,753 single-family homes and 14,017 condominiums. Of those condominiums and single-family homes, 20,276 are homesteaded with the values capped at 3% or CPI, whichever is less. This year, the Save Our Homes cap was 2.9. In recent years, it's been as low as 1.4. So without new construction being added, having added value, the future growth has to come from somewhere. So what are the two sources it could come from? Non-capped tax parcels would be one source, and the other source would be transfers of property where the assessed value is reset based on the purchase price. And all of the professionals in the real estate industry are saying that the real estate market in South Florida is softening and nothing is moving. So without an adequate millage rate in place, what would happen is property tax revenue increases would not be able to keep pace with increases to the costs of general operations. At that point, you reach what's called a structural imbalance. Now, a structural imbalance is a budgetary term. It does not account, it has nothing to do with the city's financial condition or available fund balance to spend. It strictly looks at ongoing revenues and ongoing expenses. And an imbalance is when your ongoing revenues no longer cover your ongoing expenses. At that point, the city would have to start budgeting savings to pay for your general operations. Now, if someone asked me to compare that to a personal budget or somebody's personal finances, that would be like drawing on your bank account to buy food. Lastly, that calculated $2.542 million of added revenue is just about equal to the increase in the cost that the city has to budget to provide police and fire services. So what I'm saying is the city needs that additional revenue just to pay for the increase in the cost of fire and police services. I spent a lot of time on that table, so let's move on. Anyway, here's what we have here. We have a table that shows the impact of keeping the millage rate at the tentative rate of 7.0. And it shows it for a range of various assessed value and resulting taxable value. The range is assessed value is from $75,000 all the way up to $500,000. So you could see what the impact of keeping the millage rate at 7 is from this year to last year on pretty much any taxpayer. You pick the value that you're interested in, go to the column to the far right, and you could see what the impact is for any taxpayer. The highlighted row in the middle represents the median single-family home taxpayer. The median single-family home value for this year was $318,000. So you can also easily figure out or come to a conclusion of how any change to the millage rate would impact a taxpayer using the example that I showed you earlier. And what I mean by that is let's look at the median value taxable home and use an example of, let's say, reducing the millage rate by 1/10. If you reduce the millage rate by 1/10, that would be going down from 7.0 to 6.9. What that would do for the median single-family taxpayer is that would save that taxpayer $19.03 per year, or $1.58 a month. And the way you get that is you take 190,318 divided by 1,000, and you substitute the change in the millage with the 7.0. And you could do that with any one of those values. But I just wanted to use the median as the example. And at the same time, the city would save a median taxpayer $19.03 per year, or $1.58 per month. You would be forfeiting $660,000 of property tax revenue. So for every 1/10 of a mil, that represents $660,038 of property tax revenue income to the city, or budgeted property tax revenue. And we've shown you this table before. This shows that how the city takes property taxes and uses the property taxes. Now, you can see from the table that all but $13.6 million of property tax revenue budgeted for 2026 is going to be needed to pay for police and fire services costs that are in the general fund. These are general fund police and fire costs. And the rest of the property tax revenue, that $13.6 million, is not even enough to cover the entire budget of the Public Services Department without stormwater and utilities. It's just the divisions that are supported by the general fund. And the reason I'm saying that is because the main function of the Public Services Department is to maintain the city's infrastructure. So the three things that taxpayers expect their money to go for, police services, fire services, and infrastructure, is exactly what the city of Tamarack is using property taxes to fund. And lastly, I said that I pointed out that that $2.542 million is needed just to fund the increase in the general fund costs of police and fire. And you can see that the cost of police and fire last year was $30.15 million, and this year it's up to $32.528 million. That's almost the entire $2.54 million, give or take a couple tens of thousands of dollars. So adopting a tentative millage rate of 7.00 mils would not be increasing the millage rate. It would be keeping the millage rate flat for the fourth consecutive year. And by keeping the millage rate flat, the only way that a property owner's taxes are increasing is if that taxpayer experienced an increase in assessed value. So by keeping the millage rate flat, the city essentially would not be increasing taxes on any property tax owner or property taxpayer. Actually, if you think about it, the property appraiser is increasing taxes on a property owner. So a supermajority vote is needed to adopt the tentative millage of 7.0, and for this body, that's 4 out of 5. Lastly, I just want you to know that failure to adopt a millage rate during the TRIM process results in noncompliance with TRIM. The city would be forced to levy the rollback rate, and it would also lose tax revenues it receives from the state as a penalty for noncompliance. Currently, in the budget for fiscal year 2026, the tax revenues the city receives from the state is $8.8 million. That's half-cent sales tax and shared revenue. And that concludes my presentation, and Christine and I are available for questions.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, may I just interject one thing? Jeff, could you go back to the previous slide for a second? Would you explain that the majority rate, supermajority rate, is part of the state statute, and that's what drives that requirement?
Yeah, the reason it requires a supermajority vote is because 7.00 mils exceeds the majority vote, the calculated majority vote rate of 6.88. I think it's 6.889. Off the top of my head, I think that's it.
Sounds right.
But nevertheless, it exceeds the majority vote rate, which is why you have to have a supermajority.
Thank you.
Is that sufficient? Okay.
I appreciate. I'm now going to open the public hearing on temporary ordinance number 2599. It is now open. I have some people who signed up, but I'm not sure it's for this item or not. So I have Ms. Johnson and Mr. Gog. Are you for this item? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this item? You'll be able to have an opportunity to do so afterwards.
Kate Johnson, Mainlands 4. The millage rate, while it is staying the same as flat for the last 4 years, is still raising our taxes. Granted, it is not that much, but we've had a raise in the additional fire fees and waste management fees. Again, none of it is earth-shattering, except when you consider our bloated budget that could reduce our millage rate. He mentioned that we have a structural imbalance without the 7.0000 millage rate. And that money is needed to pay police and fire the $2.5 million increase. However, when you look at the budget, there are many places to cut that budget, and I'll talk more about that next time. But if you cut the budget, you don't have to stay at 7.0000, because thankfully I saw that Broward County is cutting taxes. They voted to cut taxes, which is great. But in this day and age, with everything costing so much, the most that we can do for our residents is be fiscally responsible. And I don't see that happening when you are continually increasing. So we now have a 2.542,934 increase above last year. Why? And you can tell me BSO's raising, fire's raising, all of that stuff. However, if you cut elsewhere, you can make up the difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And as Mark Ogden is coming to the podium, I failed to say the rules of the road when it comes to public comments. If we're happy about something, you can go like this. If you're not, you can kind of go like this. We don't want to intimidate anybody. You have 3 minutes, and please state your name. And if you'd like to say your address, you can. If not, please state the community or city and where you live.
Thank you. Mark Ogden from Tamarack Lake South. Overall, in studying all the materials I went through, the back package, a lot of it looks good. Similar to what Kate says, some of the other increases in the operation budgets we need to look at. I did agree with comments I know of Commissioner Daniels and Patterson when they questioned the cutting of the pressure washing. That's what keeps our city beautiful. Cutting that out, things are going to get dirty, people complaining, we won't look good. There are other areas we could cut. I know you want to add health insurance for life. This isn't the federal government. Yeah, they get it. Do you get that at your job? No. Why there? So we need to look at doing, and one other big thing to consider, if you didn't see today's Sun Sentinel. The big story on the front page was related to the state and what they're going to do in cutting the taxes out. Next session, it's going to be one of the top items. Instead of insurance, they're going to be discussing taxes and cutting out the property taxes. So we need to really look at that and see how that's going to affect the city in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on this item? Considering no one else wishes to speak, public hearing is now closed. I will entertain a motion to adopt the operating millage rate for fiscal year 2026.
I make a motion to set the operating millage rate at 7.0000 mils, which is 0.4094 mils, or 6.21% more than the rolled back rate of 6.906 mils.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wright. I have a second by Vice Mayor Daniel. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Bolton?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you very much. So I did some research on whether or not we should be in a position to reduce the millage rate this year. As you can recall, over the past couple of years that I've been here in Tamarack, I've advocated for the lowering of the millage rate. So I'm going to ask the finance director through the manager, if he allows this, to ask some questions about the millage rate historically.
Mr. Streeter? Ms. Pajus?
Christine Kajus, Director of Financial Services.
Ms. Kajust, what was the millage rate in 2020?
In 2020, it was 7.2899.
7.2899. And what was the millage rate in 2021?
It was the same, 7.2899.
And what was the millage rate in 2022?
7.2.
7.2.
Yes.
So between 2021 to 2022, the millage rate was reduced, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just a pause. City Clerk, can you tell me through the manager, who voted to reduce the millage rate at that point?
City Manager.
Commissioner, I don't have that information currently with me. It's something that we can research and get back to you with.
Okay, so can you have your staff look at it? The last meeting that we had, you guys had the information there at the time. So I'm sure staff can look that up for us.
And could you please just let me know what millage rate you're looking for? The votes? What year?
2021, 22, 23, 24.
Okay, thank you.
And for the benefit of the public, the reduction of the millage rate in 2021 over to 2022 was reduced by myself and Commissioner Gellin. You can recall in the Tamarack Talk blog, they stated that we held the millage rate off, right? And so the rest of this commission, who was on the commission at the time, voted to increase the millage rate. They were waging war against us reducing the millage rate. So for those people who have historical facts, I asked for the millage rate to be reduced. Do you remember that, Christine?
Unfortunately, I was not present for that meeting.
Oh, you weren't? Okay. So how about 2023?
2023, 7.0.
7.0. So we moved it from 7.2899 mils to 7.2 in 2021, and then 7.0 in 2022.
2022, it went to 7.2, and then 2023, it went to 7.0.
Were you present for that meeting?
Yes.
And do you remember me advocating for the reduction of the millage rate?
I believe so.
You believe so?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So clerk is getting the historical data. 2024, what was the millage rate?
7.0.
Okay. So between 2021 and 2022, we reduced the millage rate. The proper thing to do at that time was because property values were going up, right? And as the property values go up, you have to reduce the millage rate in order for things to be stable. Yes, there was an increase, but property values was going up. So we had to make sure that residents had the ability to have the millage rate reduced to see some savings on their tax bill. But through research this time, it says some property values are dropping in Florida, but the extent of the decline varies by location. So I looked, for instance, at my house and the radius around my house. The house that I live in was valued at $329,000 last year. This year, it is valued at $295,000. If it were my house, I would certainly have sold last year, but I'm not legally obligated to do that. So the values of the houses are going down, and if the value of houses go down and continue at a downward trajectory, and we reduce the millage rate, tell us what would happen.
If we reduce the millage rate, then
and coupled with the values of houses going down,
it means that the amount we will be able to collect for property tax revenue will also decline. But not only that, it also reduces your ability to collect in the ensuing years, because then the rollback rate will also decline.
Okay. So you're better with math than I am. So let's say if somebody is paid taxes 7.0 last year on taxable value of $150,000 versus paying taxes on taxable income, let's say taxable value of $100,000 this year, what would their tax rate be? What would their tax bill be for the city portion of their taxes?
So for $150,000, they would have paid $1,050, And at 100,000, they would pay $700. So the difference in taxes would be $350.
And I only use 150,000 versus 100,000 because that is kind of the taxable value of most houses in my area. After you look at, the exemptions and that sort of stuff. So when residents look at this, they should not look at it as an increase. They should look at it probably as a $300 saving, depending on the amount of money that the property values are going down for. What is the health of our city? Are we financially stable?
Yes, we are.
Talk to us about that.
Financially stable meaning that we are able to pay our bills as they arise. We have a healthy fund balance now in the region of $57 million unrestricted. I'm not sure what else you're looking for in terms of, if you tell me.
So we're heading in the right direction.
Yes.
And we're healthy?
At the moment, yes.
Okay.
We haven't closed fiscal year 2025 yet. But from what we're looking at, we're not expecting to add to fund balance this year. So,
tell us why.
Because the rate by which revenue outpaced expenditure is not as it was in the prior year, where the revenue outpaced expenditure, where the what we budgeted for expenditure, we were able to come in at less than that 95%. So we were able to add to fund balance last year. What I looked at recently, up until August, we're only seeing like $5,000 for an addition to fund balance. So we expect that if we do add to fund balance, it's not going to be much this year, 2025.
If we adopt the rollback rate, what happens?
If we adopt the rollback rate, it means that we have to cut our budget by approximately $2.7 million.
What would we lose?
We would have to, for that amount, we would have to cut programs. We possibly would have to cut staffing as well to go back to a rollback rate of to reduce $2.7 million.
What is the fiscal impact of insurance past service?
I don't have that number. I don't have that number right now. It's something that Human Resources is researching. I'm not sure if they have that.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, that number was being calculated by HR. Ms. Durgan, would you be able to come up and express that?
Mr. City Manager, in the interim, you wanted to say something earlier. Do you wish to say it now?
I was just going to add the city's well-being, financial health, the very positive credit ratings as well. So I was just going to add that.
Good evening, Danielle Durgan, Director of Human Resources. Can you repeat the question again?
So the question is the impact of the healthcare coverage that was discussed during the budget conversations.
For employees or for at the emergency hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So that would not be impacted until next fiscal year because of the time frame of when the elected officials would be out of that term. So it wouldn't impact this fiscal year. But I can still get that number.
If you can give us a flavor of future possible impact.
Okay. Okay, so in 2027, in the PowerPoint that we presented, it would be a cost of $10,187. then it would continue to increase in 2028. It would increase to 21,597. 2029, 22,893. So every time an elected official is termed out, then that increases. So it depends on the 8-year term or the 8 years of service. And then once they are termed out, then it would be added to the premium cost.
Stay there. Can we have the information?
Commissioner, I don't have the full information as yet. Monica is still working on getting it.
What does full?
I have the votes, but not necessarily the members that were on the commission at that time, so I'm getting those names.
So tell me.
Sure, so for 2021, it was all yeses. 2022, there was 3 yeses, 2 nos. That was then Commissioner Gellin and yourself voted no. In 2023, all yeses, and in 2024, you voted no.
Good. So there were people that essentially did not agree to the lowering of the millage rate.
That would be correct.
Okay. So only myself and Commissioner Gellin.
As per the record, yes, Commissioner.
So we can just do the math to see who was here at the time. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Give me the percentage, $10,000 versus how much our budget is?
$293 million, our total budget this year.
So what's the percentage?
That's less than
0.1%.
0.001%.
About 3%, Christine mentioned.
What?
Christine, just $10,000 of 293 million?
10% of 293 million, correct?
10,000.
10,000, sorry. 10,000 of 293 million.
It would probably be 0.2%.
The finance director is giving us that math, or you?
0.003%. That's what they're saying.
Say it again for the record. I didn't hear it. There's no speaking from the mic. Name and title for the record and tell us the number.
Good afternoon, sorry. For the record, Priscilla Moxie, Assistant Director for Financial Services. It is 0.0000, so you have 4 zeros, 3412.
That's the impact.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor. So Commissioner Bolton kind of asked a few of the questions that I was going to ask. There's just a couple things that I do want to ask in addition to what he already asked. City staff proposed in June a millage rate of 7.2. Correct, through the manager.
Yes,
Madam?
we did.
Okay.
We that's what we brought to the workshop, but what we passed in July was the 7.0 because the commission expressed a wish not to pass a 7.2.
So you guys proposed 7.2. And
Initially, yes.
And then the commission
At the
said
workshop.
we adopted a tentative 7.00.
Yes.
Commensurate with the flat rate
Yes.
that's been in place and consistent for the last 4 years.
Yes.
Can you, I know the number, but can you explain to the residents what the difference in terms of dollar value between what you proposed and what the commission adopted?
Okay. It was I think we have it, 1,190,000.
Okay, so by us adopting or maintaining the flat 7.00 mills, we've saved the residents $1.190 million.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's important for anyone that might be kind of questioning this body's decision to have to adopt a millage rate, right? We have created a reduction based on what was proposed by staff. While you guys made a recommendation, but we decided that consistent with how some of the residents may feel, and obviously the variables in property value and, obviously the economy, it's probably appropriate that we maintain a tentative rate flat and consistent with what it's been.
Yeah.
Do we rely on any other income sources
Yes, we do. We rely
that exceed the property value? I'm sorry, that exceed ad valorem taxes?
No, it's our largest revenue source.
And are you able to distinguish between residential and commercial?
In terms of
tax revenue?
No, can you?
Well, for the record, I can say that the city's tax base in terms of tax revenue, approximately 74% comes from residential.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest would come from commercial and vacant and industrial.
So is it fair to say that we rely on residential property taxes because our commercial tax base is not necessarily as strong as our residential? Is that fair?
That would be a fair statement. Yeah, actually, the residential makes up 96% of the parcels, of the tax parcels. 96% are single-family homes and condos. So you rely super heavily on residential tax.
Mm-hmm. Can you speak to, you went through a chart, I'm not sure if it was explicitly clear, so maybe someone who doesn't necessarily understand the language. For a property valued at $100,000 versus a home valued maybe at $500,000, $500,000 in our city, mm-hmm. What does 7.00 mills do in terms of the difference in tax revenue?
From one year to the other?
From value to value, from 100 to 500. Can you just, make that, because not all parts of the city are, in terms of, real property are created equal. So is it fair to say that people, homes that are valued at 500 plus are paying a little bit more, even with that flat rate, than a home at 100,000 or maybe
Absolutely,
150?
they're paying more, yeah, because you take a higher value divided by 1,000 and multiply by the millage rate. Mm-hmm. If you compare one year to the other, a $100,000 assessed value property taxpayer from my table up there would, the increase would be $20.30. The increase for a $500,000 taxable value would be $96.42.
So even in this commission or in this body's best attempt to maintain status quo, there's still people in our city that are simply based on the value of their assessed value, paying more in taxes.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay.
We also want to point out, too, that part of the changes this year is that the exemptions are rising by a multiple of CPI.
Yeah, there was a referendum that was passed that allows the second $25,000 of an exemption to increase by the CPI. And this year the CPI was 2.9. So that $25,000 exemption, the two exemptions together of 25 and 25 that were 50 are now a little bit higher because you're able to adjust that second exemption by the CPI.
And there are a number of property owners that, because of the value of their property, don't pay property tax.
Okay, and thank you. And I guess my last question is, You spoke briefly to the financial stability of the city, and you spoke to $50 to $60 million in fund balance. Can you, and I think it's clear, for whatever reason, there seems to be some misconception that the city is in some financial trouble, and I think the manager made it explicitly clear that the city is not in any financial trouble.
No.
Do you guys know where the city lands measuring against the other cities in the county in terms of its millage?
Yes, we're
about the 10th highest. We're the 10th highest millage.
Go ahead.
The
With
city of
cities, I'm sorry,
Tamarack-
cities sizable or maybe comparable to ours. I don't want to, I think that maybe the appropriate way to ask that question is comparing cities similar in size. Where are we in terms of millage?
I don't have that information with me. The only information I know off my head is where we fall in comparison to all of the Broward County cities.
Okay.
I think that as far as the city of Tamarack probably has the lowest millage rate out of, as far as it's got the lowest total taxable value out of cities with an equal millage rate or higher. So we're drawing from a lower taxable value than some cities that have a higher millage rate, and they're drawing from a higher taxable value than ours with a higher millage rate.
Okay, and from a position of, as an industry professional, is it your advice that the city commission lower the millage rate and reduce the millage rate, or potentially go back to the rollback?
I'm not here to give an opinion. I'm only here to share information. But if I was to share my opinion is based on what could potentially happen with taxable value going forward and what we're seeing happen with new construction, that this would not be the time to reduce the millage rate back to the rollback rate to prevent reaching a point of structural imbalance at some point in the future. And structural imbalance is not saying the city is in financial dire either. All that means is ongoing revenues don't cover ongoing expenses. I wasn't up here trying to say that the city is in poor financial condition. And that's why I stress that structural balance is a budgetary term. And it does not account for your fund balance or your financial condition.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may. So, in response to Commissioner Bolton's question, in year 2021, for first reading, it was all yes. The commission was made up of yourself, Commissioner Bolton, then Commissioner Gellin, Commissioner Villalobos, and Commissioner Placco. For first and second reading in 21, it was all yeses. For year 2022, on first reading, Commissioner Gellin and the Vice Mayor Gellin and Commissioner Bolton voted no on first reading. On second reading, all yeses. Year 2023, all yeses, both first and second reading. In year 24, Commissioner Bolton voted no on both readings.
Thank you. Commissioner Wright?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Go back to Commissioner Patterson's point. You said we were at 7.2, and then we as a commission said, hey, cut some stuff in there and bring it up to 7.0. I think we had that in the budget. The first budget meeting on June 30th.
Yes, that was the workshop. Yes.
Okay, and if my recollection serves me correctly, and if you have the record, clerk, my first priority was cutting taxes. I think that was one of the first things I mentioned in terms of cutting taxes. But also in doing my research and looking at other cities, this budget this season. County, yes, they did cut the millage rate, but on your taxes, you're still going to have a slight increase. I saw that in the county's budget. In Delray, they aggressively cut their millage rate last year from 6.5 to 5.9. And this year they had to raise the millage rate because they were underfunded when it comes to staff and that type of stuff. But in the great city of Hialeah of all places, they kept their millage rate the same. But what they did, they gave a rebate. They gave a $150 $20 to $150 rebate to every homesteaded resident. So obviously people are going through a tough times. Things are difficult. I had a resident call me today asking for a light bill, and I understand that. And there's some residents who pay about $15,000 in taxes and feel like, $100 is nothing. But it's a tale of two cities. So in C and Hialeah, they kept their millage rate the same, and they offered the residents some sort of tax rebate, which is one of the ideas that are coming from Tallahassee. The speaker proposed last year to give $1,000 for every person in terms of, reducing property taxes, because cost of living is expensive and people are feeling it, obviously insurance and the property taxes. So that's just something I wanted to put out there as an idea. I just, in doing my research, look at the different cities, understanding that people are going through a tough time. 660, you said it every point 10, it would cost 660 in revenues.
Every 0.10 mil or 1/10 of a mil represents $660,000 of budgeted property tax revenue to the city of Tamarack, either up or down.
And if we go back to the rollback rate, that's going to cost us 2.7.
Yeah, you would, to give you the basic math on that, is you would take the 660, which is 1/10. The rollback rate is 0.4094 less. So you would substitute in. So you would take 660 times 4.094 to figure out what that is. That's approximately $2.7 million.
But we've already brought it from 7.2 to 7.0 because initially the proposed amount was 7.
Which was $1,190,000 already.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've kind of shed some of that stuff that was in there at the 7.2 rate. We've shed the excess costs from 7.2 to 7.0. How much did we shed in terms of the budget? How much did that reduce it by?
The general fund budget was reduced from the proposed budget to the tentative budget by $1.704 million.
1.7.
Yeah, there's slides later when we get to the budget section of
Okay.
tonight that show that.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Actually, Ms. Kajus, I just want to ask for some clarification because at our last budget hearing, there was different numbers that were said about our reserves or our fund balance.
Yes.
Other than what you just said. I know our city is in good shape right now, today.
Yes.
We had 58 million in reserves. Can you please tell us what was
Yes.
discussed at that last meeting?
What we had discussed was the fact that we had 57 million in reserve, and that of that amount we had budgeted approximately 19 million in 2025. That's coming to an end, and we are also budgeting approximately 27 million this year for 2026.
And math-wise means? We have
It means
4
that we'll
million.
be left with 11 million in unrestricted if we, if revenue is coming as we budgeted, revenue and expenditure come in as we budgeted.
We'd have 11 million left. That includes the 3 million for our version of FEMA?
Yes,
So we'll have 11 million left in reserves.
yes.
Is that a good rate to have for our insurance purposes and our
Yes,
banking?
for reserve, the rule is that we have to have at least, I think, 6 months in general fund revenue. 2 months of general fund revenue. 16.667%.
City's financial policy calls for maintaining 2 months of operating expenses, or 16.667% of the operating expenditures in the general fund reserve.
Okay. I'll leave some of my other questions for budget. I agree with comments that are made that our 7 mills is considered high in the respects that it's not going down. But we do have a budget that we handle after the millage rate. So procedurally, we have to set the millage rate. I don't know if we can reduce the millage rate. If we reduce some of the budget, that comes afterwards. Can you?
The millage rate must be adopted before the final budget. And if you adopt a millage rate that's lower than the 7.0, the budget that we're presenting to you tonight is based on 7.0. So we would have to have a completely different budget discussion, and our presentation would probably take a different direction if there was a vote to reduce the millage rate.
Well, I'm thinking, I guess, maybe more along the lines of what Commissioner Wright might have been saying that was done by another city, supporting the 7 mills. That's what the budget is. We were asked for 7.2 and change. The entire commission did not want to do that. The entire commission said 7 or lower. So if by chance we are able to fix our budget to where we don't have certain things in there that are not, that we're able to adjust, we might be able to get to some kind of rebate. But for right now, that's a budget discussion, not a millage discussion, correct?
Can you ask that again?
Never mind. I think I answered my own question. It's fine. It's fine. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. You're so good at math. It's impressive. As a teacher, I'm always so impressed with your numbers.
I have my moments. Yeah.
You do? I haven't seen it yet. So kudos to you. But my understanding from your presentation is that it would be dangerous to lower the millage rate based on the fact that the value of our homes are steadily, possibly going down. So what I heard was, right, after analyzing everything that was said and reading everything, what I'm hearing is the millage rate, it would be safe to keep the millage rate at minimum where it is, because if the house value fall significantly next year and the millage rate goes down this year or next year, there would be a problem, because we'll be, what's the word, structurally unbalanced?
That's the word.
Yeah, because then the money coming in will not match the money going out, right? Simple accounting. So it doesn't make sense to lower the millage rate. Trust me, I want it lower. Mine is past 10,000. I get it. But it doesn't make sense, because if the value of our homes are going down and we lower it, next year or the next 2 years or the next 3 years, we might be in trouble.
And don't forget,
because the money coming in will significantly be lower. 1, because the millage rate is lower. 2, because the value of our homes are lower. 3, because of the homestead, the many exemptions that we get, rightfully so.
plus the loss of new construction.
Plus the loss of new construction, because people in Tamarack don't want new construction. I don't know why. They don't want apartments. But apartments will alleviate some of that burden. Commercial will alleviate some of that burden. So everything we do is somewhat aligned and makes sense. It's just a big picture. It's just not one little nugget in the big pot. So to me, logically, it can't, I don't want it to raise, but it cannot be dropped, because we're setting up ourselves for future years if property value drops. If the property value rises like it did a few years ago, yeah, drop the millage rate. Absolutely. Bring my taxes down. Give me some more exemption. I want to be in that category, say pay no tax, because I don't know how that works, but okay. But I'm sure it's for somebody whose house is valued like $50,000. I don't know how it could possibly work. But I would disagree on dropping the millage rate, but definitely do not raise it.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a follow-up question.
Commissioner Bolton?
You know what? I'll pass.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Patterson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Daniel,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolton,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Gomez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We're now moving to temporary ordinance 2600. This is the second and final public hearing to establish the fiscal year 2026 operating budget, capital budget, and financial policies. Before we begin, Mr. City Manager, please read your statement.
The tentative operating and capital budget for fiscal year 2026 as amended is $293,982,462, which is $53,646,238 more than the amended budget of $240,336,224 for fiscal year 2025. The tentative general fund budget, which is the primary fund for providing governmental services such as our contract with BSO, general and administrative services, public services, and parks and recreation, is $195,279, which is $12,050,722 more than the amended budget of $102,144,557 for fiscal year 2025. In addition, the financial policies are included as part of the adoption of the annual budget. These financial policies are an integral part of our long-term financial planning for the city. These policies set parameters for operating management, including establishing reserves for specific purposes, establishing accounts management and financial planning policies, and establishing policies on economic resources. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please read title to temporary ordinance number 2600.
Item 1B, an ordinance of the City Commission and City of Tamarack adopting the operating budget, revenues, and expenditure, capital budget, financial policies of fiscal year 2026, providing for conflicts, providing for scrivener errors, severability, and providing for effective date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. This item was discussed at both the June 30 and August 27, 2025 budget workshops. The tentative operating and capital budget as amended totaling $293,982,462 was adopted at the September 12, 2025 first public hearing. Financial Services Department staff will now give a short presentation. Mrs. Streeter.
Here we go again. For the record, Jeff Streeter, Budget Manager. Okay. This table shows, well, first of all, the Commission was given a detailed, approximately a 200-page detailed City Manager proposed budget to consider at the June 30th budget workshop. This table shows the changes that were directed, the changes that staff was directed to make in between now and the budget workshop, including some of the things that were suggested at the budget workshop. It also accounts for any changes that were made at the first public hearing. So overall, the city budget, the tentative budget reduces the proposed budget by $3.347 million, and it reduces the general fund budget by $1.704 million, or approximately $1.705 million. And this shows how the adjustments are distributed across the major categories of funds. This shows how the revenue was adjusted in order to get to that reduction of $1.704890 million. The main change there is that the appropriation from fund balance from the proposed budget is being reduced by $1.918 million. And the revenue, property tax revenue, was reduced because the proposed budget included a recommended millage rate of 7.2, and the staff was directed to bring a resolution to the July 9th commission meeting for a preliminary millage of 7, and also the July 1 certified values came out. So with all those things happening, the revenue in property tax came down $1.190 million. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. And this shows how the expenditures were changed, and it includes the changes that were made at the tentative budget. The tentative budget changes were to take out the public services director position, put back in the assistant city manager position,
Public safety.
reduce travel, the combined or the shared travel account from 20 to 12,000. Thanks. You gonna finish?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, these are the items that was discussed last commission meeting. So we're showing here the change from the proposed to the tentative to now the final. So you see that we reduced the amount for the commission 457B from what it was to 12,600. We added a safety consultant for 70,000. The other one remained the same. The other change was the reduction to the travel and other changes that were discussed at the City Commission meeting. This other slide, which may not be in the backup material that you have, because we just got this information a little over 24 hours ago, to have some other addition to the budget as it exists. These were not presented to you during the tentative budget. And these items are an increase to the travel for the City Commission, for 30,000, funding for sister cities of 25,000, some increase in printing and binding for PIO for 20,000, increase in supplies for the Commission Office 5,000, adding a 10,000 for an Economic Development Business Expo, adding additional public relations to PIO 60,000, and to appropriate some funding for the Black Chamber of Commerce for 25,000. And with that, I end my presentation.
Point of clarification, City Manager. Don't you think this should have been provided to us with our book instead of all of a sudden just being thrown at us right now?
It is provided as part of the backup.
Where? I'm not seeing.
Is it not? Maybe due to the late arrival of the information, is that it?
Then maybe this should be held for a budget amendment at a later time versus all of a sudden putting it on an already stressed budget.
Madam Mayor, we're presenting a budget and we're making changes as needed, as called for between the first hearing and this hearing. So
who's called for some of these things?
it's the city manager's budget being presented.
So this is on you?
That's me.
Then you should have had this to us beforehand. So the public hearing on temporary ordinance number 2600 is now open. I have a few people that have signed up, and if you have not signed up and you still wish to speak, you're more than welcome to. Kate Johnson? In the interim, Mr. City Manager, can you please ask somebody from the clerk's office to provide us with a piece of paper that was just shown on that slide? Thank you.
Can they go back to that slide? Okay, Kate Johnson, Mainland's 4. I can see a whole lot of decreases already. Why are we increasing travel $30,000? Why are we paying a PR consultant $60,000? Why are we, you can just look at that, never mind what I remember from the last budget meeting where you did away with the director of public service role, public safety, whatever that was, but you left 70,000 in the budget for that. You removed the freeze on a second assistant city manager, and that, from my memory, was over $350,000. You've got so much waste. You've got events. Why do we need all these events? Our taxpayers cannot afford all of these events. You've got an increase of $54 million from last year's budget to this year's budget. That's what was said at the last budget meeting, 53 million and change. I rounded it to 54 million. I just don't understand. That doesn't include, okay, increased travel in city commission, $30,000. You've got increased travel. You've got increased health care. You've got increased money into your retirement accounts. You've got increases in being vested earlier. You've got a 5% raise for yourselves for sitting on a committee that is part of your job. I don't see anywhere, because to me, this is just not a transparent budget. What is are employees getting a cost of living raise? Is the commission getting a cost of living raise? Most cost of living raises are what, 3%? Add that to your 5%, so you're giving yourselves an 8% raise this year. I also want to talk about the fact that this game that was played last time about, oh, well, you said you voted against it, you shouldn't get it. If one person gets a benefit, every person gets a benefit, or it is not equitable to anyone. And playing games with who voted for what is a way to shame people and to threaten people. And sorry, that shouldn't be allowed.
Thank you. Mark Goggin.
Good evening again. Mark Goggin, Tamarack Lake South. Somewhat what Kate said, some cuts, the travel expense. If travel's going up so much, maybe we need to have the manager buy a vehicle that's used, a couple of them probably, to be safe, because I know Mr. Bolton lives further out in the east. Commissioner Bolton. Having one probably stationed at the firehouse parking lot out there so he can use it, one here centrally and one further out in the Nob Hill facility. That way you use that when you got to do traveling instead of paying personal car mileage. It'd be the city names out there showing you're from the city doing business. The other thing I had a question at and looking at here, a public safety consultant. And what is that for? We have our police and fire department. A city of this size, I live in a city that's much bigger. They didn't have one person to oversee both departments. Each department had their own, maybe a commissioner of fire and police commissioner, because the city had almost 1 million people in it. Smaller cities, too much power, too much things. There's no need to have a public safety consultant overseeing the departments that are running fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Narupa Achabak? No? Okay. Sandy Hill? My apologies.
Sandra Hill in Woodlands. I've been a Tamarack homeowner and taxpayer for 24 years. At the last budget meeting I attended, a commissioner here accused me of being a minion I
Commissioner
was a
Bolton.
legal secretary for Jack Stanislaw in New York State, Supreme Court judge of the state of New York. Down here, I worked for Rooney Enterprises, Syntex Rooney, for 16 years. And my last job of 21 years at Franklin Templeton Investments, we run $1.58 trillion of management, under management. And my little department, the Floating Rate Debt Group, we 28 billion, we kept it moving. I am not a minion, I'm an observer. And what I see at these commission meetings is unreal. A handful of commissioners seem to control the entire dais, whether others like it or not. It appears that the commissioners who control the deciding votes must be rushing through projects on whims without conducting proper analysis and taking more time to plan or listen to the financial and economic professionals afforded them. Thus, the proposed budget will use up Tamarac's precious reserves. Two examples probably are the Tamarack Park, removing the fields and putting in a 400-meter track, and then a renovation of the clubhouse at Shaker Village. And then, of course, all the personal perks. The Sun Sentinel, you're talking about budget, they were posting all the budgets for all the cities around, and Tamarack's is, quote, the proposed operating budget expenditures of the city of Tamarack are 70.55% more than last year's total operating expenditures. That's the proposed.
Yep, thank you.
So this leaves us very underfunded should any emergency arrive in Tamarack. The part of those discussions last time where commissioners discussed giving themselves more perks, our mayor and another commissioner refused the extra monies, yet they are the two individuals that show up at almost every function there is in Tamarack. The other three show up for photo shoots or a major event. And one of our commissioners doesn't even pay taxes because he doesn't own a home. There are no words except as an observer. To put it bluntly, Tamarack is being taken for a ride, big time. Amen.
Thank you. Narupa? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
Hi, Narupa Chaibar, Woodlands. I just want to say a few things. I'm not going to repeat the numbers that was already brought up by Kate and the other gentleman, but I do want to say this. While I understand that we have some necessary monetary spending, such as the fire department, the police department, along with some other necessary spending, it is not fair to tax-paying homeowners to have to fund some increases in the expenditures such as travel and health care for commissioners. We need to look at expenditures in a much greater detail before we vote on them. I do not see much attention to the budget that was presented regarding reserves or contingency funding. When this happens, a budgeted item runs out, how is the excess expenditure going to be paid or funded? That's a huge question for us. And I can tell you, as a treasurer for the Woodlands Master Association, or as any good treasurer or budgeting committee member knows, reserves or contingency funds are a huge and necessary part of any given budget. Finally, I do want to say this. Keep in mind, we, the taxpayers of Tamarack, are closely watching each and every one of you and how you spend our money. Yes, it is our money because we are paying you to serve us in our best interests. We are paying you for part-time positions you hold here at the city. We're paying for your travel, your health care, and other expenses that you incur. We are paying you and we are watching you very carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Stu Webster is coming up. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this item?
Stu Stuart Webster, Versailles Gardens, protocols observed. One of the reasons why I like to speak last is because I love to listen and learn. And listen, learn, and digest. And rather than repeating what the gentlefolk have said before me, Kate, Mark, and there are a number of other people, rather than repeating all of those points, because all of those are my concerns. Some of my concerns have to do with the cost of living, raises for the employees, because I feel very strongly about the employees. And as an aside, as somebody who for 7 years worked with Broward County in a very senior contracts and grant position, intimately involved with literally every single incorporated and unincorporated area, I'm proud of literally every single employee of this city, because I see the awesome excellence that just oozes from their body. And I'm really, really proud to be involved in the city. I couldn't, just like the others have said, I'm really disturbed at some of the expenditures, some of the areas of expenditures, especially that last slide. It's really concerning, and I hope that literally every single one of the commissioners look very carefully at those slides. Also, again, as has been said before, we're watching you. And it's situations like these, and line items like these, that shows who you truly, really are, commissioners. Thank you. Once again, kudos to Tamarack City staff. I have a concern. One of the commissioners in a previous meeting, in a previous commission meeting said, you know, when I talked about the staff and mentioned my concern about leadership, said, oh, wonderful leadership. Well, we can have a conversation about that aspect, and I intend to do so shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing is now closed. I will entertain a motion to adopt temporary ordinance number 2600, establishing the operating budget, capital budget, and financial policies for fiscal year 2026. We will now fail for setting a budget.
Sorry. I make a motion to adopt temporary ordinance number 2600.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wright. I have a second by Vice Mayor Daniel. Discussion on the motion. Okay, I seem that. You going? We're not going. No, go ahead. You know I go last. Ms. Kajus, can you please come up to the podium? City Manager, I'm going to ask her to share with us the difference between the things that are added on the 175 compared to the things that were taken out in the budget items that we already discussed. Printing, services for PIO, travel.
I
Nice
just
and
want
simple.
to point out that these items have not been added to the budget. For these items to be added, we would have to amend the item tonight to add these items.
So a very quick look, because that's all we've had. Increase in travel commission is $30,000, yet last meeting we went through reducing the travel budget from 20 to 12. Are we now saying we want a budget of total of 30,000 more or 42?
Madam Mayor, commission as a division or department is not just made up of commission members. You also have aides, you also have other staff members, and so there may be some other travel requirements, educational opportunities and travel requirements for those other staff members as well.
So when did we set a policy that allows our aides to now go travel for us?
Mayor, You know, those policies are set by administration, and they don't, you know, go through the commission process.
So when did you set it?
This is part of our ongoing, constant review of
So
our
we don't
HR
have one.
policies.
We
And-
do
and-
have a policy that now allows administrative aides to go
We
travel?
don't have a policy that says this person is going to do this, but we do have opportunities for our employees to develop their careers, move up in their careers, expand their education, and you know, become more proficient in the roles that they provide. And this is the same for every city department. If you look at every city department, they all have travel and education in their departments. Not just
Never has
not just
anybody in the
commission.
city commission office from the city mayor and commission office ever traveled. But you didn't answer the question I asked. Are we moving it now up to 30 or is it 42?
This is, I believe this is in addition to what we already have, right, Christine?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're now saying 42,000?
Yes.
Please, a point of clarification from Vice
Does-
Mayor Daniel.
So does travel includes learning? Is that what I'm hearing? So travel includes training?
Right, I mean.
Since when?
What's the, you know, the city's travel policy is for attending public purpose, educational and you know, professional meetings, like conferences, like your League of Cities and City County Managers Associations, those kinds of programs.
So it would be if anyone in the commission office who wants to, I don't know,
So we
get a
have-
degree,
Right.
this would reimburse them for the degree as well? That's what you're saying?
Well,
Or for a class? I don't know.
That's a different
Talking, I'm going
program.
far.
That's a different program, but, you know, one of the things that provide experience to our staff is by networking and communicating with other professional members of the same work group. And so we do have young employees, we do have employees that are looking to further their careers. They may be started in your office as an aide or an administrative assistant, but they're all looking to further their careers. And this is an opportunity for our staff members to, you know, network and participate and learn about the governing and principles of, you know, government service.
So if a request is put in to use some of these funds for the staff, I'm assuming other than us, who will approve it? Or who will say yea or nay? You would?
That would be city manager, correct.
Okay. And if you say no and the money's there, it goes back to the general budget?
It stays. And it happens. We do decline travel at times, you know, if it seems unnecessary.
Considering this commission's been over budget, I don't really see how you can say that. But anyway, I'll call baloney on this whole part of that conversation. Funding for sister cities. Isn't the Sister Cities program really a friendship program? That's what we agreed to. Where's this $25,000 going?
So the mayor, the Sister Cities Committee is actively working on bringing their recommendations to the City Commission to make a decision on either adopting sister cities or adopting other programs. So this is an initial seed money for that program to take place. And it's not necessarily, you know, identifying as sister cities, you know, or sister city for Tamarack, but it can also be considered for other programs to encourage that kind of.
Is this just a cushy little area to say in case somebody wants to say as a commissioner or mayor or whatever that they're going to another city and they're going to another country and claim sister cities?
Mayor, commission will need to decide the activity and function of that sister city before any of that can happen.
It didn't seem to happen before.
It wasn't part of.
Increasing
it
and
wasn't
printing
part
and
of the
binding,
sister cities.
it's baloney in my mind. Increasing printing and binding in PIO when we just reduced printing and binding out of the park and rec. Is this just another way to not have initiative funds being used for printing of events that are going out?
We're definitely reaching out more to our communities for our events, and part of our expanded outreach for our residents, communicating with our residents, the printing and binding expenses are going up, and that's to cover those additional expenses.
So are we making sure that everything that's printed and binded and going out is going to stay in the city of Tamarack? I didn't think so.
I don't understand the nature of that question.
The nature of the question is, are we spending all this extra money to go advertise outside our city for our events? Or is this all supposed to be for inside our city?
Our mailers only go to our residents.
But our flyers don't.
Our flyers are placed in places, and so if they're picked up by others, I wouldn't know about that, but they're intended for our residents.
Ignorance doesn't look good. Funding for PR consultant and PIO, is that an additional $80,000 to the $60,000 that we just had in the last portion? So we're now saying $140,000 going towards PIO?
So Public Information Office requested this, and maybe I can ask Joanna to come in and talk about that program. That was part of her initial budget request, and we decided to fund that program.
No, I asked. It's not putting back. That's why I want to know.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Joanna Johnson, for the record, Communications and Marketing Manager. The public relations consultant was a part of our initial ask. It's for us, we feel like we have a pretty decent reach when it comes to the residential community of Tamarack, but we wanted to use a PR firm to reach economic development portions, i.e. businesses, developers, write op-eds in magazines for the business audience, create content for the business audience, etc.
So the question I asked was, is this $80,000 in addition to the $60,000? Or the 60 in addition to the 80 that was already in the proposed budget?
It would be. Yes, that's correct.
So it's an additional $140,000 being asked for PIO?
I can clarify. The $60,000 that would be added today as a result of adopting the final adopted budget is in addition to the $80,000 that was added at the last meeting.
Thank you for a very clear answer.
You're welcome.
It's just listed as the African American Chamber, but it was also mentioned as a Black Chamber of Commerce. Did they submit a proposal like our Chamber of Commerce does for when it asks for money?
So Black Chamber of Commerce has been operating in the city and the region for quite some time, and we do participate in their events. We do participate in their programs, and they do provide valuable service. Just most recently in the distribution of our or advertising and getting the information out on our grant program, on our number of grant programs, and so they're another entity that is active in the community for the economic development and for improving business community or enhancing business community in the city of Tamarack. One of the things that was asked earlier, our reliance on residential properties for property tax burden, and we've always been emphasizing the idea of spreading that burden to more commercial entities. So if we can help encourage additional commercial entities to spread the burden of property taxes, it's in the benefit of our entire community. And so this is one of those efforts that we can help with the chamber to encourage the business community and the commercial activity in the city of Tamarack.
You didn't answer the question. Did they submit a proposal to ask for this $25,000?
I don't have a proposal from them.
But yet the chamber has to submit a proposal where their money goes to in order to get their funds.
I think it's just a matter of
No, they've had to submit proposals in order to get their funds.
I don't have a business proposal from our Chamber of Commerce.
And so we're going to give them 25,000 on top of the 140,000 more marketing and top of other economic development money because they're going to only target a select group of people. I don't see how that benefits getting business into our city, any color, any religion, any representation or otherwise. Obviously, there's no secret that I am not supportive of all this last-minute inclusion. It was bad enough I didn't support half the stuff that was included in the budget to begin with. I still don't understand why we're paying $60,000 to a lobbyist for the county when every single one of us knows every single one of our commissioners. And to hear that, oh, it'll help get our things processed better, as I shared, we can just process it better ourselves, empower our staff to directly do what they need to do. If we have problems with permits in the county, then we should be having our appropriate department talk to them directly or come to their person on the commission and ask if we have somebody downtown that we can talk to. But to pay another $60,000 to a person or entity, I don't even know who the person or entity might be. I'm sure they're fabulous. That's irrelevant. There's so many other things in here that I have issues with, including reducing our savings down to 11. We can make ourselves feel comfortable all we want by saying that's not a bad thing, but I'm pretty sure I hear the dropping of our S&P rating going down as soon as we hit the gavel to say it's passed. There's a reason for savings, an absolute reason for why we were able to do certain projects and certain projects that have been waiting and waiting and waiting and not getting done because we were building up that budget. I'm at a loss, believe it or not, for anything else because I am just overwhelmed how hard our team works to give us as a commission, as a body, what we have asked for, or maybe what we even have not asked for, maybe it is presumed it is asked for, to have a budget like this and then add on this. And we take away with one hand and we give with the next, with no rules, just right attitude. I am not supporting this budget as is. I think that's clear. Anyway, Vice Mayor Daniel, you wanted to speak?
Yes, I'm actually in agreement with the mayor that last minute getting this is a bit much. Yeah, I got an instant headache. However, I do. Let me go to that page. I do agree with PIO because we've complained about the marketing of the city for every year I've been here in the communication. Everyone on this committee has said the same thing, that we don't communicate well, we don't marketing. So I don't know the costs, but apparently it's expensive. So I understand your ask. As far as traveling, you could cut my traveling. I don't need it. So whatever represent me, you could cut it. I'm not sure with the sister city why we need 25,000, but I guess that's something we'll vote on in the future. And if anything, it goes back, just like the traveling. What's the other one? It says PIO. The Business Expo, I know I've spoken to the chamber president, Mr. Peter Mason, and our businesses are in dire need, so there's no way I would, I would agree with anything to help our businesses. So if that includes the expo and the African American Chamber, so be it. The supplies for the commission, for me, cut that too. Because all I'm hearing is commission. I can tell you the last time I used supplies. I drink coffee though. So, and I thought if it's on the 60,000, you make the decision. So I'm not sure why, when it's being scrutinized, it's always the city commission office stuff and not any other department. That right there bothers me. So that's my take on this whole thing. Thank you.
Commissioner Bolton.
Okay, so this city and few people on this dais has a tendency of pointing fingers to make it seem like I ask for stuff, and those who are on those people's payroll obviously believe that it's my stuff. I want to say that it's not mine. So whoever wants to believe that or not believe that, your prerogative. I asked for City Commission travel budget to be reduced the last meeting. I don't know what Sister City is doing or what they're going to present. I've never been to one of their meetings. I do not agree with the PIO budget increasing binder printing or whatever that is, increase operating supplies in City Commission office. I don't know what supplies that is. I'm hardly here. My office is on the street and knocking on doors. Increase in economic development for Business Expo. I don't have an expo. I don't even go to the chamber meetings. So, hello, Peter Mason. Appropriate funding for PR consultant in PIO. Well, PIO needs the help anyway, so whatever. And appropriate funding for Grant African American Chamber of Commerce. I've never heard of an African American Chamber of Commerce. So, for the record, and all of your sound bites and whatever, I don't know what this is. However, I do support whatever the manager wants to bring. I've been here almost 9 years, and I understand that sometimes when you budget for things, programs come after. I'm a policymaker, so if a program comes afterwards and I'm not for the program, I simply vote no on the program. What are you going to do with the money then? You know, whatever finance does. So maybe I can ask one of the finance staff members what happens if, for instance, we all vote no on Sister City or African American Chamber of Commerce, or whatever it is. Where does the money go if we don't implement the programs?
I just wanted to point out that the budget is not actual money, it's an allocation.
That's not what I asked. Just answer my question, please.
It stays in the general fund.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Wright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So 457B, my good friend Marlon Bolton reduced that for me, so I don't qualify for that. Travel, I think we reduced that to 12,000. And the new thing, where's the new slide? 30,000. I think last time we had a discussion about travel, it was 12,000 for the other commissioners, and we're going to reduce that. So that part with the aide, I don't want the aide traveling with me. So you can take me out of having that ability for aide to travel. I'll put that back in the pool if that's possible, but I don't want to have an aide traveling with me. What else? Other stuff, again, it's a surprise to me as well. It's kind of last minute, so I haven't got a chance to go through all the stuff. Again, I'm in favor of, I like what they did in Hialeah, to give a rebate, $100 rebate to 20,000 homesteaded homes. That's $2 million, less than 1% of the budget. I know people are hurting. That's something that I saw. I think it was a brilliant idea. I'm thinking outside of the box. Looking at the budget, BSO, I saw we went up by 7% for BSO. When I read the newspapers, other cities, the sheriffs they went up from 10 to like 20, 27%. Pompano was 27%. So obviously at 7%, that's not a bad deal in terms of the increase. Yes, it's over the 5%, but you explained last time exactly what it is. Our fire department, their cost increased by 6%, so it's kind of in line. I don't think it's exorbitant. And the benefits part, again, I guess, you know, I reject the additional benefits. I want the record to reflect that I reject those benefits. I don't support it because I don't think we should give ourselves additional benefits. And that's my feedback.
Commissioner Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick questions through the manager to the finance director. The adopted budget for fiscal year 24-25 was how much?
You have that number there?
200.
Because the materials And I just want to note, I'm not sure how we present budgets. I don't like looking at a budget without any historical data. So I would encourage you, manager, when we present a budget in the future, that we have some data reflective of the prior year for comparative and comparison purposes. I think that's important because I have no idea. I'm getting emails that our budget increased 70%. I know the numbers. I just want you to put it on the record because oftentimes we have these high-level discussions and we miss the facts because we get so caught up in some of the granular details around what the manager is trying to do with his organization. But I think it's really important that we note what the hard numbers are relative to percentage increase. So last year's fiscal, and no one knows that number?
No, we're getting the number for you, right there.
So the 2025 adopted budget was $237 million, roughly?
The adopted budget was $237 million, roughly. That was later amended. We amended that once.
So where are we today in terms of?
It's $240 million.
240. And because the presentation that's before us, the budget that's before us, it's talking about $175,000, but it's not telling me what is the total budget for this fiscal year. For fiscal year 25-26, what's the total number?
For 25-26?
Yes.
The general fund is $114,195,279. And the total budget is $293 million.
And that's an increase of how much in terms of percentage from last fiscal year to this fiscal year? I have it here. It's 23% of an increase from FY 24-25 to FY 25-26. And our total, the City of Tamarac's total overall budget is reflective of a 23% increase. Is that accurate? Madam Assistant Finance Director, you seem to be on it last time.
23.8%.
21%?
23.8.
23%. So anybody that is miscommunicated on any stream of social media or what have you, either A, because there's a misconception around the dialogue on this dais, or B, we just don't understand what's happening. The city has a 23% increase in its budget from 24-25 to 25-26. Is it fair to say that that is consistent with budget increase?
I think it depends on where you're looking at the budget. For example, in 2020-25, we had capital CIPs of only 19 million versus 27 million this year. So it's not, the percentage is not linear against all the expenditure categories. For example, the CIPs went up by
$9.9 million. Approximately $9 million.
Approximately $9 million, which is almost 50%.
And I think I'm glad you mentioned that, because in the FY 25 budget, 24-25 budget, the capital improvement line item was $25 million. This year it's $37 million. We're sitting on the dais and we're debating $175,000, which is 0.05% of the overall budget at $295 million. I think that we have a responsibility to pass a balanced budget to ensure that police services are provided, that fire services are provided, that programs are funded, and that we ensure that the City of Tamarack is whole. And we're fighting up here over, oh, I don't want paper in the PIO department, right? I think we really, because whatever the politics are, it's irrelevant. We just passed the millage. We kept the millage rate flat. The city manager has a responsibility to present services, programs, etc. And he's presented a balanced budget to this commission. So for whatever whatever folks feel about whatever, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to argue with PIO about whether or not they need printing and paper. I just kind of think that we really need to kind of lift our perspective, raise our perspective around what we prioritize in our city, right? If we're talking about cuts, let's talk about substantive cuts. There's a 7% increase to BSO services. That's $25 million. We're fighting over $175,000. I think that, and it's not a question to you, manager, it's just a statement. These are my comments. We really need to approach our city business from a higher level, and really analyze what we're prioritizing in the greater scheme of things. Everyone in this city is important. All of our perspectives matter. The residents matter. Just because we hear from certain people, in the commission setting, there's still 70,000 people in this city. And everyone cares and prioritizes different things. We need to ensure that our services are diverse, that our programs are diverse, that everything that we make available to this community is reflective of diversity and it is inclusive. That's my perspective here. It is. I would make a motion to go ahead and approve the budget.
Well, not just yet. It is almost 7 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a 7 o'clock meeting right after this. We will go right into that. But I'm going to give you a heads up. After we call a roll call, we're going to take a 20-minute break. So, back to business here. No, some people, it'll be 15 minimum. There are people who have things that they must do. City manager.
Madam Mayor, by no means I want to minimize the $175,000 in the last minute, and I understand your concerns, and this is presented in the name of complete transparency. We're talking about a $297 million budget the staff put together, and this is in the name of full transparency included in the last minute as part of this budget. I don't want to minimize the $175,000 by any means, but we operate a $297 million budget, and the staff puts that together. We come up with all these numbers making up to that $297 million. And so, again, in the name of full transparency, we put this up there because it's been added in the last minute to the budget. And so I hope it's understood that it's meant as part of our due diligence and transparency that is being presented to you. So it's obvious the Commission's prerogative to accept or deny, but I just wanted to make make it clear that this is part of our full transparency.
Appreciate that. Basically, I'll just take it this way. My being very displeased about the last minute 175 in no way, shape, and form means that I am not displeased with some of the other major items in this budget. I have expressed myself through our budget meetings. I've expressed myself through other meetings here. So it is just, that never got changed. Certain things didn't get changed, and it is what it is. I do know the staff, as I said earlier, has worked very hard. So my comments are not based only on $175,000. We do have a significant budget, and I do think that certain things should be reallocated in other areas of our budget. I have said time and again, we need more employees and a little less some of the other stuff, where we can use the same dollars and make it a worthwhile budget where I would be able to support it. My issues come with that. But since it's never going anywhere, I am not line-iteming them because it doesn't make sense to do so. Now,
Mayor,
City...
There was a motion.
No, there's already a motion on the table, but I need to do something else. Thank you. At this
Mayor,
time, there is a motion on the table already for... We're not doing that.
Previously?
There is a motion on the table to adopt the ordinance as is.
I just want to make sure.
I want to make sure. At this time, there has been a request to amend the budget based on the last minute item that has been presented to us, and therefore I will ask the maker of the motion, which is Commissioner Wright, and the second of the motion, which is Vice Mayor Daniels. Do you accept the amendment in total that we've been provided? If the answer is no, it is no. I will then ask other questions. Commissioner Wright? The amendment of adding the last-minute changes of the 175.
No.
Okay, so that has not been accepted. I will then go down the list. You want to get this?
Mr. Manager, these items of 175,000, is it included in the budget that's presented to the commission?
No.
Okay. So,
No, they're not included in the budget.
okay, I just want to, so if they're not included in the budget, obviously, you needed to include them through an amendment, so they weren't included.
Your friend called the motion. So basically, the items that were added are not being accepted for a friendly amendment on it.
All right, based
Okay,
on,
so
like,
at this time, well, thank you for, I have my other minute that is now removed. Fine. I will defer. Commissioner Bolton, you wanted to have your last 2 minutes? Go.
Okay, so on procedure, you can call the question the first motion. It can die, or I will vote no on the budget, just so that the commissioners are aware. The history and experience will teach me to do this. So I'll vote no on the budget, and then we'll make a second motion to adopt the budget with the changes, and I'll vote yes at that time. So that's that. And again, I'm going to support the budget, not because of the items that are in there. I echo the sentiment of the mayor that there are some things in this budget that I don't agree with. But what I do agree with is staff working hard to present a budget to us. It is at the end of September. October is next week, and we need a budget. So in order to move city operations along, I'm going to support the budget. But some of these items that are in the budget, best believe that when they come to me, I'm going to question them. I'm a policymaker, so I'm going to question some of the items that come before us for a vote. And at that time, it would be more appropriate to vote yes or no on those items. And if we vote no on those items, then it goes back to the fund balance. That is the recommendation of the finance director. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. Again, these items are not mine. I did not ask for them. And so, you know, to those who will say on social media that they're mine, they're not mine. So I just wanted to make that abundantly clear again. So,
so from a procedure standpoint, we have a motion to second without these. So, call the roll.
City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Wright?
No.
Mayor Gomez?
No.
Vice Mayor Daniel?
No.
Commissioner Bolton?
no.
Commissioner Patterson?
Yes.
Motion fails 4-1.
I make a motion to adopt the budget as amended with the city manager's recommendation of $175,000.
I'm going to clarify that Commissioner Bolton just made a motion to adopt temporary ordinance numbers 2600 as amended. Is there a second? Seeing no second, that'll fail. Seeing that
Point of clarification. Okay, Mayor, can you just slow it down for a second?
Yeah.
This is quite confusing, and I think that we all, if you just
Commissioner
give it a
Patterson, the motion that failed was a budget excluding the 175,000.
Okay.
So now Commissioner Bolton just moved to include the 175,000 as part of the budget, and that's his motion.
Understood.
Okay?
And I
And he needs a
restated it
second.
because it needed to be stated in the way that it is procedurally necessary
Yeah.
for.
Because
the city clerk.
The finance director indicated that 175 was not included. Now, the motion was made to include it.
Understood.
We have a motion, need a second.
Second.
Thank you for stalling. Any discussion? I'm going to ask the question, City Manager, which items of here, the added items, actually come back to us for discussion and a vote?
It would be sister cities. It would be PR consultant, economic development business expo. It would be considered a joint effort, and the chamber contribution.
You're putting on the record that all of these items will now be something that will come to us for a vote, as already pointed out, which are within your discretion?
Yes. Even though it's within that threshold, it would be a joint effort with the city commission. Yes.
So you're saying sister cities, economic development, PR consultant. Well, actually, PR consultant is. Well, it is over. No, 60 is fine. And the appropriate funding for the chamber that is being requested, those 4 items are going to be coming back to the commission, is what you're saying.
That's the process.
And I expect that to be in the minutes reflecting the same.
Madam Mayor, you just pointed out that the $60,000 for PR consultant is $60,000, which is fine under the commission, under the manager's threshold. But all of these items standing alone are under the manager's
Exactly. That's what I asked him.
So
all
then
these items are under.
Right. But
Well, originally I had 80,000 next to it. You don't need to clarify.
Let me finish my thought, because you put something on the record that is not clear or true or factual.
Okay.
We cannot say $60,000 is okay, so that does not come back.
I'm not
but the
saying
rest
it's
comes
okay.
back.
I asked
But
if all
that's what
4
you alluded
items
to.
are going to be coming back to this commission. The city manager has said yes, and the record will clearly reflect it when it's in the minutes. If nothing further, city clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bolton?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
No.
Commissioner Patterson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Daniel?
Yes.
Mayor Gomez?
No.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you. So, it means the budget passed as amended, is what it means. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a budget and we have a millage rate. Thank you very much to our team who's worked very hard. And at this time, our budget hearing is now over. It is 7:07. And welcome, everybody. We are now opening the commission meeting. Our regularly scheduled commission meeting is 7 minutes late. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Gomez?
Present.
Commissioner Bolton?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Patterson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Daniel?
Good evening.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in recess until 7:25. We'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.